What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Week 5, Episode 5 of the Leafs Line Podcast. It is a great time to be alive because hockey, not only is it in full swing, but the Toronto Maple Leafs have played 4 games and pretty good hockey, to say the least. But first, I don't want to be a jerk here. I'm Mario Russo. Let me introduce my co-hosts here. We got Evan Davis, Jared Rottenberg, Adam Ramoli, and Mateo Colos. It's going to be a fun one. I think this will be the first episode we publish on YouTube, probably the first of many. We'll be switching up on Anchor, YouTube, whatever we got. And it's usually Anchor's been giving us some fits lately. It usually kicks us out when we have too many guys, or the full cast, if you will, on the show. So when we got a bunch of guys ready to go, we'll be here on YouTube. And we're a little lower on it, we'll be on Anchor. So I think that does it. But let's get straight into it. We got the Maple Leafs to talk about, big 4 games. We got some other teams that have had some questionable starts to the year. To name a few here, the Montreal Canadiens 0-4, the New York Islanders 1-2. I don't want to say they're too questionable, but a little bit of eyebrows raised because we've expected such great things from this group. The Winnipeg Jets, probably, if it's not the Montreal Canadiens you're leaning towards, the Winnipeg Jets might have the biggest hot seat in the North. Vegas Golden Knights. Now, I wouldn't say their record's concerning, but guys are dropping like flies. And Evan, I think you can agree with me here. We dodged a bullet with Mark Stone. He doesn't need surgery, but there's definitely need to concern. I don't want to touch upon it right now. We will get into it, but I really want to kick things off with the Leafs before we just talk about the Kraken. And of course, 1 week in, what have we missed from the league that we've seen now that it's back to normal? I guess I'll start there. I'll start with you, Evan. What have you missed the most from the National Hockey League? Now it's in full swing. We got U.S. teams playing Canadian teams. I've never thought I would be so surprised about this, but here we are in 2021 seeing this to come to fruition. So what are you most excited about over this last week, and what's treated you the best?
The fans being back. Like, my God, like Jared Adamo, Daniel, and I, we went to the Leafs and Senators, and just hearing the back and forth between the two fan bases, although it wasn't much on Ottawa's side, it was about a 70-30 Leafs. It was insane. But
in Ottawa, by the way.
In Ottawa, yeah. In Ottawa, by the way.
Not even in Ottawa. It's in Canada.
Yeah. Those 40-hour Uber.
But
that's a story for another
time.
But
it almost reminded me of when the Kings and the Ducks play each other, and it's just awesome. And it really like gets the players more involved. Like, I can't imagine playing in an empty arena. It sucks. But having the fans back has definitely been huge.
And to think we went just about, 56 games last season with no fans in the building. And if you want to add on top of that, if your team was so lucky enough to make its way to the bubble in 2020, the summer of then, I just can't believe that the fans made this big of a difference. And, it is so evident now. Jared, do you agree with Evan? Do you have anything to add on what surprised you the most? Because there's a lot of things to pick at here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the fans make such a big difference. Just being able to, first of all, be in the building was unbelievable. And just watching games on TV, it just makes such a difference having those fans in the crowd. But overall, really, I'm happy to see hockey back. Just being able to watch hockey, being able to look at my fantasy team and see actual scores being added. It's great having hockey back. Being able to, any time of the day, turn on a game and just see what's going on around the league. It's just so much fun. 1 week in and already there's so many storylines. It's awesome. I'm loving that hockey's back.
Yeah, and I could have said it better myself. I mean, I was really happy personally to see that first Leafs game against the U.S. opponent. And one of my favorite rivalries in all of hockey and all of the Toronto Maple Leafs history is Leafs Rangers, original 6 matchup. Doesn't get any better than that. I got the luxury to go see one of those games when I was a kid, one of my first Leaf games. So there's definitely a soft spot there. But man, I miss seeing a Maple Leafs team play an American team. And now we're going to see it this weekend when we play visitor to Mateo's Penguins. Mateo, not only how are you feeling about that game, but how are you feeling about the first week of hockey in general?
So for the first week of hockey, I think it's been pretty good. I like the fans in the crowd. I felt like it has been make the players a bit more hyped for when they're playing. You could see when they go on the ice, they're very more excited when they see the fans in the arena for sure, and they get more momentum easier. So for next week, I'm actually pretty optimistic for my Penguins. They're playing pretty well so far this season. I think there are 2 wins and 2 OT losses. Haven't got a regulation loss yet. But the Leafs, they're a very good team. They got Austin Matthews back recently. I think this game he's definitely gonna try to get back in the motion as he's been injured the past few games. Already played the last game, but I feel like he's gonna try to get in the motion. So yeah, especially with Jeff Carter and Danton Heinen kind of impressing. I feel like it'll be a close game, but I feel like I could see the Penguins winning, or actually it could go either way, even the Leafs winning. I think also it depends on the goaltending with how Campbell does and Mr. Jari with his glove hand.
And I mean, that is if Campbell even starts that game. We're going to have a topic for debates, the backup goalie situation, who plays the first game on the Friday night against San Jose, and who starts the second half of the back-to-back. I know Michael Hutchinson will be one day this weekend making his season debut. So let's hope it's probably against the San Jose Sharks, because against a hot Pittsburgh team like they are right now, I don't think that kid can withstand the pressure. And Adam, I'll turn it over to you before we touch upon the Toronto Maple Leafs. What was your favorite part of the first week of the NHL season? So much things to look at, so much things to pick at. What can you make of it?
I've never been so excited to hear the American national anthem in my life. That was good to see. We talk about like the fans, I guess. Well, it's really the Canadian fans. We were deprived of it. That was going on all year around the States, but I think you guys kind of hit on every point. Just fantasy's back. Betting on sports is back. It feels like we're back to normal. Like, I know the pandemic isn't 100% over, but it feels like we're almost there. We're almost there.
I love your positivity. And I just have to admit here, first off, before we get into anything else, I have an addiction for fantasy hockey. It has come to a really tough spot where I'm checking it every 2 to 3 minutes. I don't know if you guys follow up with this, but man.
No, I definitely do. And I'm in a little bit of predicament with some of my goalie situation. Turns out leaving your goalie to like the 110th pick isn't a great idea. I'm in a paid league, and my two goalies are Linus Ullmark, who hasn't played a game, and Cal Peterson. That's it. Cal Peterson's good. He's been gross, but he's like a 1A. He isn't a starter, so I've kind of been boned on that end.
It's a long season. That's all I've been telling myself. It's been a pain seeing the offensive numbers my guys put up. But hey, that's game 3 to 4 out of 82. We got a long ways to go, and a team that has a long ways to go and wouldn't even look that far off considering their first 4 games was pretty decent. The Toronto Maple Leafs, finally we get to discuss them and get into them. They're 2-1-1 so far this season. Losses to the Ottawa Senators, as unfortunately you guys, or most of you guys, saw down in Ottawa, and an OT loss to New York Rangers, which a lot of people, for some odd reason, made a big stink about it. I personally thought it was an okay game. Adamo, I'm pointing fingers at you here. What was the reason in there? Because, I mean, you pepper Shesterkin with 41 shots. I mean, he had a good game. What else can you say?
At some point, isn't it the Leafs' fault? Why is it oh, they got goalied? Why have we never goalied anyone? Jack Campbell was on a 20-game winning streak, or whatever the frick it was. I think it was 11 games.
11.
And there wasn't a game where it was like, oh, the Leafs goalied them. No, it was the Leafs outplayed them. At some point, you got to get it done, because I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of every year. Oh, we out expected goals them. Oh, we outchanced them. Oh, and we lose. We lose. And at some point, games like this sting. Like, I'd rather lose a game where, we're flat out outplayed because we know, okay, shit needs to be fixed, versus a game where, no, we outplayed them. We just couldn't get it done. So that's what really grinded my gears with the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Rangers.
I see where you're coming from. I mean, I've seen so much heartbreak in my life. I've seen those times where they're peppering the goalie with 40 to 45 shots and they lose in the last minute. I'm happy they got the point and brought up probably the best entertainment piece, 3 to 5 minutes I've ever seen in my life. That OT was probably the best overtime I've ever seen in hockey. Like, it was outstanding. It had everything you needed. And even the Minnesota Wild game last night, that one was a pretty good overtime finish as well. So I absolutely see where you're coming from. I think the heartbreak for me just kicks in a little bit more, seeing they actually hung on to the point, and I got to see a two-sided battle. And of course, like I mentioned before, Leafs Rangers is primetime TV. I haven't seen it in forever, but you're on the right track when you're saying the Maple Leafs have to finish out these games. Like, I know it's early in the season. I don't want to ever really use that as an excuse, because the focus is the regular season. This is where it starts. You should be getting playoff ready by game 3, game 4. That's how much it means for this team. But I don't know. I think you have to come out on top, maybe in OT, but the regular season or regular time, I think they should have got the 2 points. But Shesterkin shut the door. Jared, what do you think of that game? Too big of a deal? Should we calm down a bit? Did the Leaf fans hit the panic button way too many times to open up the season? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm sort of conflicted on that because I definitely agree with Adamo's point. I think it's definitely a problem that constantly there's games where the Leafs deserve to win and we're the better team, but we can't get it done. So I think it's definitely frustrating. But at the same point, you have to look at the way we played, and we played an unbelievable game. We looked like a great team. And at this point with the regular season, like I don't care about a great regular season. I want to see us make the playoffs and finally have success in the playoffs. So the fact that we played a game where it looked like we were dominant and we looked like the better team gave me positivity as a Leafs fan, and I don't think it was worth freaking out about. I agree it's not worth using the excuse of, oh, it's so early in the season. But at a point you have to look at, okay, it's 4 games into the season. We looked like a good team. We performed and had a great game. Yes, Shesterkin shut the door on us and we didn't end up getting the 2 points. It was frustrating. I agree with some frustration there, but I don't think it was worth the panic that was going on Twitter and the panic all over the internet, because at the end of the day, we looked like a good team, and that is something that made me positive as a Leafs fan.
I can't complain if they look like a good team. That's the bare minimum, at least for me. You need to look like a good team. You have to be getting to a great team when you're looking to those measuring stick games. I know Babcock coined that term when he was with the Maple Leafs. Those measuring stick games to get the Lightning, the Panthers, the big time rivals that you're going to be facing 6-7 times in your division, and you have to win more than half of them to not only get into the playoffs, but to show you're the real deal. I think there's many other teams obviously that follow, but we're still missing that game. I think it's going to come up pretty soon. I don't know when they hit up one of those teams, but that's when I'm going to really make or break for this Maple Leafs team, what these guys are made out of. And I think that's a fair point to make. And I don't know, this Leafs team, I'm happy with what they're doing. The injuries has been tough. That's been a tough pill to swallow. You got Mrazek. He's on the shelf now for 2 weeks with a growing injury. Nick Robertson, I know he's not on the starting team, but he's out 10 weeks with the Marlies. He broke his leg. That's a big blow. Justin Hall was out for a game with an illness. I don't think that affects too much, but guys are moving around, and it's really, I don't know. Are you concerned about these guys all moving around? We know how the Leafs deal with the injury bug. Last season was a big attach to that, and they paved their way to a playoff spot. This year, I think they're going to be tested just like many other teams are. The quick turnaround from last season to this season could play a big role in that as well. So I'll start with you, Evan. What do you make of the Leafs injuries, and more specifically this goaltending situation? You're running a Campbell and Hutchison. And not only just that, you look at Campbell, he hasn't played more than 31 games in his NHL career. You look at Mrazek, he's played just 12 games all of last season. So, but adding these two guys together, there's not a lot of experience there. Is that something to concern? Is that something for us to lose sleep about? What do you make of it?
Yeah, and I just want to quickly, just 2 seconds, go back to your your first question that you had asked. Like, when we went to the Ottawa Senators game, the Maple Leafs put up, I think, 46 shots on goal, and that's great. In the last game, they were out shooting the Rangers at one point by 20 plus shots. And like, I understand they look great, but at the end of the day, on the standings, it's going to show that they only got 1 point out of those 2 games. Like, you want to have a great regular season to position yourself for the playoffs better. You want to be able to have one of those top 3 seeds. And I think the whole thing for the Leafs right now is that it's too much quantity and not enough like quality. Like we saw in that Senators and Rangers game, there were just too many shots that were kind of thrown right in the breadbasket of Anton Forsberg and Igor Shesterkin. Like there are just not any grade A chances. So great, you have 30 shots on goal, but if 20 of them are right in his wheelhouse, then there's no, like, I don't really care how many shots on goal you have, because it's a matter of how many go in the back of the net. In regards to your question about Mrazek, I said to the guys, even like when they signed, like when we were in Ottawa, like it's a great signing if he can stay healthy. Lo and behold, right in that game, he gets hurt. Like we saw last year, injury bug bit him and he didn't play a lot. And that's why Nedeljkovic was so high for the Calder, because he was able to step up and they stupidly let him go. But he was able to step up when Mrazek was hurt, and now you have that same issue, and now the $3 million that you paid him is basically going to be him sitting at home most of the time because he just can't stay healthy, and you have him locked up for 3 years. I don't know. Campbell, I'm a little less worried about, just because he was also playing with Freddie Anderson, and at the time, like, you still got to give Freddie his minutes, and you got to give Freddie his games when he is healthy. But I think Campbell he's a veteran. Like, he knows the longevity of a season. Yes, he hasn't played in like a 60 game season, like in terms of him starting 60 games, but he knows what it takes. Like, because as a backup, you got to be ready to go in at any moment.
Yep. And what scares me the most about this team, it's very small. It's no one besides like, if we're one more injury away from being in an absolute goaltender crisis, throw it all down there and you're trading for a goaltender. Michael Hutchison, if let's hope this doesn't happen, knock on wood, Peter Mrazek's already out, Campbell goes out. You got Hutchison and what? Not Alex Bishop, but what is his name? He's
Vezina.
Yeah, there we go. That is not something we got it from Columbus, did we not? Was that him? Yeah. So it was a little bit of a strange trade, but we got him. He's in the system, and it would be extremely tough to see him and Michael Hutchison play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is not an avenue you want to go down. And if they do, boy, you're in big trouble. And I think Kyle Dubas would do the honors of pulling a trigger and finding out a goaltender for the time being, because you know how important a 5-game window is, a 10-game window is in this division. It means all the difference. Look at the Montreal Canadiens, for example. They're already scuffling, and they're making a big hoorah out of it. So the Maple Leafs would be no different. But I don't want to go down that road, because I don't want to see it personally. It's not something we want to see from the player standpoint, the team, because that's a whole headache of problems waiting to happen. I'll turn it over to you, Mateo. You haven't gotten the mic in just a little bit, but what do you make of the goaltending situation in Toronto? And before I turn it over to a better topic, that is Mitchell Marner, I know everyone here is looking to dig their claws into him. What do you make of the goaltending situation in Toronto, and that we're just one injury away from full out chaos on the ice?
So the goalie situation in Toronto, I think there's no need to panic, as I feel like Campbell could carry the load. I feel like last year, near the end of the year in the playoffs, he showed he's an elite goaltender, and every goalie hasn't been experienced before. Even Martin Brodeur, the GOAT, Tristan Jarry hasn't been experienced before as well. So I feel like as an elite goaltender, this year is definitely going to be able to play more than 31 games. The only thing I'm worried about is Michael Hutchinson, because he's a pretty bad goalie, and he seems to be like a rash for the Maple Leafs, as he always seems to play almost every season, like in the past 3 years. He just keeps coming back and starting for games. So yeah, for sure, I think if Campbell stays on his game for at least a few games, and Hutchinson doesn't play as bad as he played in the past, the Leafs should be good for the future.
And it's not Campbell I'm worried about. I'm sure all you guys agree. Campbell's not the concern. We know we're getting at a Campbell. I'm extremely pleased of what he brings. There's nothing wrong with him. He comes in every night, gets wins, makes big saves, and he keeps us in there a lot of the time too. So he's not the concern. It's just that he has a tendency, something happens to him, he's out for a little bit. That's what's the concerning part. That's what I think not enough of what the Toronto media is hitting home on. We're just one injury away, one tweak, one little toe save, and you're really wreaking havoc on this team. So I think it's something to talk about. I think we did it justice. Let's just hope we don't have to do it even more justice and go down this avenue any further. And this topic I really want to get into, Mitch Marner. This kid, man. This guy has really, my thoughts on him has changed so much. It's taken a full 180 on this kid, because he doesn't get it done. Like, I don't know. I don't want to go on a ramble on him before I get to you guys. I'll start with you, Adamo, because I'm sure you'll probably give the best. You'll serve my words nicely. What do you make of Magic Mitch right now and how he's playing? And yeah, what do you make of him,
man? Okay, I'm not gonna overreact. You're not gonna get the big reaction out of me that you wanted.
I'll give it to you.
You might get a little bit out of me. No, you're right. You gotta get it done. You're making, I could swear, right? Like a little bit.
You can swear. Actually, I don't know. We're on YouTube now.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Poop. Maybe not.
Let's keep it PG, man.
Yeah. Let's let's not swear. He's making frick you money. So get it frickin' done, Mitch. I'm sick of it. I don't like that when Mitch Marner, and I'll even give John Tavares some of the blame too. I don't know if we're gonna hit on him later, but when those two are on the ice, especially Mitchell, I'm not noticing an ice tilt like I do when William Nylander's on the ice. Like when William Nylander is on the ice, you know, yeah, well done, Jared. You know, it's something is going to happen. Like he's going to take the puck. He's either going to skate it end to end. He's going to find a teammate and he's going to make things happen for the team. He's going to make things happen for himself. Whereas when Marner's on the ice, it's like, okay, maybe he might get like a low danger chance. Okay, maybe they're hemmed in their zone. But with Nylander, it's constantly like in the other team's zone. It's constantly on his stick. I guess I made this more about comparing the two, but you know, it's been about comparing the two their entire tenure. Like we'd have these, you know, who's overpaid, who's not overpaid. At some point, you know, one point, fun stat, Mitch Martin has one secondary assist this season. He didn't get a plus for it because he was on the bench. I think it was a power play one too, so he wouldn't have anyways, but he's on the bench for his own assist. So he hasn't been on the ice for a point this year. Make of that what you will.
It's ridiculous. And to credit Nylander, that guy's been phenomenal. By far the best Leaf on the ice. You could maybe even throw it to Michael Bunting. He's been terrific. We'll touch upon him in just a bit. But the local boy there, Michael Bunting, Nylander's been awesome. The one thing I noticed from his game, he's vicious on the puck now. He's in those corners, taking the puck off of just about anyone. He's not scared of anyone. I think that playoff round against the Habs when he was the leading goal scorer, that evokes some confidence in that guy. His legs are moving. He's a totally different player than what we're accustomed to seeing during that contract year when he was trying to sign it. Just following that signing of the contract, he was fine, but there was in the discussion, like you were mentioning, Adama, who's overpaid. Mitch Marner was in the spotlight at that time, and Nylander was suffering. You got something to say, Evan?
Yeah, I do. I want to piggyback off what Adama was saying, but I also want to bring in a new point. I get a lot of like backlash. I think Mitch Marner is seriously overpaid, and not only like one or two. Like I think he should be making $7 to $8 million, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look at the games that he doesn't, where Matthews isn't on the ice, Mitch Marner looks absolutely irrelevant. Like he doesn't look like he's not a guy who can create for himself. It's more like that's why he has like 16 goals and 50 assists. And that's why Matthews has 40 goals, because Marner can get you the puck, but he can't do anything for himself. We saw in the games that he's playing, like he's trying to do too much and he doesn't know what to do without Matthews on the ice. It shouldn't be 11 million. And when you're also like, and even we're talking about cap constraints, like, you gotta differentiate. Is John Tavares more important to you, or is Mitch Marner more important to you? And whoever that second person is, they need to take a money hit, or you got to do something, because you can't have 3 number one guys and paying them number $1. It just doesn't work out. And we saw that they had to call up a guy from the University of Toronto because they can't afford to bring up anyone else.
We hate the University of Toronto.
Can I make a comment on that?
Go back and forth, man. I'm
no. Just the U of T thing. So I work for Ryerson. I work for the hockey team. So I was actually at Ryerson's first preseason game, where Alex Bishop, the U of T goaltender that they were going to call up, or did call up, was in net, and he let in 3 goals, I think, on the first, I want to say 6 shots in like 8 minutes. And then I forgot what the exact number. I don't think I could even say the exact number, but I looked into the analytic too, because we tracked that game too, and it was not particularly good. So I was ridiculously scared when the Leafs announced it was this guy that I literally watched, you know, the friggin' Ryerson Rams just absolutely light him up. But shout out to him. He went to Bill Crothers too. So it's a Bill Crothers boy, high school. Yeah.
Awesome. But I don't know. Like Tevin, to your point, well, I guess this isn't really to your point, but I obviously understand what you're saying. I would obviously lay the exact same reasoning just looking at this season. The one thing I do see, it's not about Marner's, like we all know what Marner can do. We've seen in the past, he's got actually 50 points in 41 games without Austin Matthews. So it's not about him not getting it done without Austin Matthews, his inability to make plays for himself, at least for me. I think the stats just say it there, but it's just how this is for me. He says every offseason, and you can go back and look at the recordings, every offseason, I'm working on my shot. I'm working on my shot. I'm going to develop my shot and I'm going to score.
I have never Girl Club, or like where the fuck is he going to get his
that's
shot?
The thing. No, but he keeps on saying it. And this goes back to the point we make for the Leafs, insanity, trying to do the same thing, expecting different results. He goes back to the well every single year of the offseason, tries to make different things, adjustments to his shot. I've never seen a difference.
No,
I can't say, like, I hate it when he tries to shoot the puck.
I agree.
Play it. You're a playmaker. You're making money because of the passes you make. Now you're not playing with Austin Matthews for those past 3 games rather. Pass the puck still. That's where you make your money. That's your bread and butter.
I love.
And you continuously try to shoot. Go on, Adam. Go on.
No, I love every year Mitch Marner will score maybe 2 or 3 goals where he absolutely snipes on a guy or a one-timer. And it's, remember, Mitch Marner can shoot. And I'm like, no, he can't. And like Mikheyev was doing that. Mikheyev was sniping too, and he can't shoot. Yeah, he's just every year cooking in the lab at the Sports Village. He just can't get it done. That's all.
That's what I've noticed. It's really easy to see. I want to look up his shooting percentage. It's ridiculous how low it has to be.
0.
Yeah. But anyways, I want to turn over to Jared. I know you have stuff to say. Jared, what do you make of, I guess, Mitch Marner, if you want to bounce on any other points you made, because I haven't turned it over to you because you're always positive. Shine some light on it.
I like Mitch Marner. Don't get me wrong. He's overpaid.
We love him too. We love him
$10.8 million is ridiculous. What Evan was saying though, he should be making 7 or 8.
Yeah,
that is too low.
That's ridiculous.
But that's why, like, if you watch the video back, I was like frustrated about that. But no, he deserves to be paid less. $10.8 million is ridiculous. However, in my mind, I think Leafs fans are really jumping on this guy right now, and that has to do with he had a bad playoffs, and now his first 4 games of the season were not good enough. Don't get me wrong, he has not been good enough right now, and he is not able to drive a line by himself. He has not been the player we expect him to be. In my mind, though, let's say he had a good first 4 games. I think no one's saying these comments. Let's say he's a good next 4 games. I think everyone's changing the narrative on him, so I'm not ready to jump on him yet and say, it's a horrible season, this guy sucks, get rid of this guy, whatever. However, I agree. He needs to start producing more because this guy right now has not been able to do it by himself. In the past, he has. Last year, he was top 5 in league scoring. But I agree. To start the year, he has not been the player we expect him to be. He's not been the player that the Leafs need him to be. And he's paid the big bucks right now. It's time for him to start showing up. I like him as a player. I know you guys too. I'm not saying you guys don't. But I'm saying, I like Mitch Marner as a player because I know what he's capable of. And I think as much as I don't expect him to be a sniper, that isn't what he does. I know he practices and works on a shot. We aren't expecting him to become the next Austin Matthews. That isn't the role he plays. The role he plays on our team is to be a playmaker. It's time to start making some plays and actually getting the team to produce. And yes, the Leafs haven't been bad to start the year. I mean, we're 2-1-1. We haven't been horrible. But I agree. Mitch Marner needs to start doing some more. He needs to start producing more. And it's a little bit ridiculous how he started off slow. I do think Leafs Nation needs to chill on him a little bit though, because I think it's very reactionary after. I don't like saying, it's only the first 4 games, a lot could change, but it's an 82 game season. It's the first few games. He needs to be better. However, I think people need to chill on him a little bit. Every time a player signs a contract, look, Mitch Marner makes this. At this point, knock it off. We know how much Mitch Marner makes. Cheer for this guy when he deserves it, but it is fair sometimes to be critical of this player because right now he's not played good enough.
Like he's never heard of the Toronto media before. Like
that's what I was gonna go into.
Yeah, like are you kidding? Like, and if Marner has 10 points in his next 5 games, they're gonna be stroking this guy even more checks. Like
that's the Toronto media, man. That's what we're going into.
Yeah, we're gonna
get into it.
Like,
we're gonna be one of them one day. Not Jared. Jared's gonna be he's always gonna look at the bright side, and I love it.
Jared's gonna work for the Kings, where like if they're bad, they just already accept the fact that they're bad.
They're rebuilding. Right, baby.
But to bring it back to Mitch, I think the Toronto media casts him as the villain way too much. That's not what he is. We don't hate Mitch. You said it, Jared, yourself. We don't hate Mitch Marner. Well, we have Well, maybe Adamo hates Mitch.
I think,
I'm
but like
kidding.
to your point though, the reason why the bar is set so high for him is because he did it to himself by signing to a $10.8 million contract. So once you set the bar that high, like if you're not averaging over a point per game, and if you're not starting off hot, it's like, what did you do during the off season? Like your playoffs were terrible. Like, didn't you want to have a bounce back? Like your bar's already set so high because of you're making more than Rantanen, McKinnon, Landeskog. Like you're making Marchand, Bergeron, like all of these guys you're making more than.
I mean, you make your bed, you got to sleep in it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's basically what he did with that contract signing. Now, I don't want to go all the way that far back, but we expect a little more from Mitch. I've seen the points. I mentioned it off the top. He's got 50 points in 41 games without Matthews. I expect to see something like that. We didn't get it. And is it the end of the world? No, it's not the end of the world, because there's another, like you mentioned, Jared, some odd amount of games. There's so much left of the season. Marner's definitely going to still put up, I think, 80 to maybe 90, 95 points with Austin Matthews by his side. Like, we know what we're going to get from him. So let's kind of chill it out, but there's still reason to be concerned. I have a bone to pick with Marner. It's just been too much. And that playoff was the last straw for me. This is not going to be the final last straw, be all end all, this last 4 games.
Oh,
But
yeah, we're going to be back. Like,
We'll be
if Mitch Marner is back next year, if the Leafs lose in the first round,
and
Marner
he flips another puck over the glass.
he's still on the team. We're not going anywhere. So we just kind of have to write it out with this guy.
But it is.
But
It's part of the core.
Yeah, let's not think about that yet. Let's wait for
Yeah.
it. Let's enjoy
Anyways.
the season.
One
Yes.
question: do you guys think that Marner will make the Team Canada for the Olympics?
Too much. There's too much, guys. There's too much
Too much?
uncertainty.
He's
Too
in
much.
the
he could be
conversation.
He could
He's
be
in the
mix
conversation.
for sure. I think.
He's in the conversation. He would probably be like a fourth or third. I mean, like Canada's just stacked.
Yeah,
I
there's nothing against the
actually
player.
think he will.
Yeah,
think he will.
Like I
wouldn't
think
be
he will, like,
surprised.
confidently too, just because what they've said, and this is coming from like the president, the CEO of the Mitch Marner Hate Club. What Canada's doing, they're trying to like fill out a role. Like they're trying to fill out. They're not just like stacking the teams, right? So what Marner can bring, he's like still like an elite penalty killer that can play make. I think it'd be
'cause they-
unreal,
Yeah.
right? Like beside like I don't even know, who does Canada have, like a sniper, like a Stamkos? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
I think he's probably gonna end up making it, or if not, yet like he'll be in the conversation. He'll probably be in it till the end, and we'll see if he ends up making it. But I agree with Evan. I think he'll likely be, if he does make the roster, he'll be probably third liner, is what I'd predict.
Yeah, that's what I was
But
going with.
I'm so excited for the Olympic roster to start being announced. I know like the first 3 players have been announced in
USA.
every team, but like
I'm sure we'll
Cali
get
over
into
there.
that. We'll get into that. Like,
Yeah,
closer
I'm
to
so
February
excited for
for
that.
sure.
But I think
Yeah.
he'll definitely be in the conversation. Like Morgan Riley, also from the Leafs, will be in the conversation. For
Yeah.
P4.
Yeah, if they want to
It'll
get
be
bounced out the
interesting.
first round, why don't you just bring in Jack Campbell too? Oh,
Hey.
I'm kidding. I'm
Hey.
He's been unbelievable.
Hey, hey.
Bro. Oh god.
Anyways,
Not saying he's going to be on Team Canada, but Jack Campbell's been unbelievable. Like I need to go back on that. He's not Team Canada's Olympic goalie, but Jack Campbell's been really good.
they'll bring him for the trip. He's the best locker room guy in the league. There's no
They'll go
question about
They'll go to
that.
Red Lobster after the game.
Oh yeah,
They got one in China. They're a Red Lobster in China, maybe, because that's what they're playing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
in
so.
China.
Beijing, yeah.
Yeah.
Canada's gonna absolutely ruin the Chinese men's national team.
yeah.
Oh my
But yeah, no, we'll get into the Olympics closer to the time. It's gonna be a fun time, man. I haven't watched the Olympics just like you guys have in such a long time. I'm looking to get back into it, and I'm sure we're gonna have some good coverage on it as well. I'm gonna enjoy waking up at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to watch some games, but
Oh yeah.
it is what it is. It's gonna be fun. And before we transition to the rest of the league, I know the Leafs is a big topic here. One final question, and I don't know if it's that self-explanatory, but who's been the best player, the best new acquisition? Who's been producing the most for you guys? I personally believe Michael Bunting. I thought going in it was going to be Nick Ritchie, but my boy Michael Bunting stealing the show with 2 goals, and Nick Ritchie's as slow as molasses out there on that top line. So I'm sure he's going to pick up with more Matthews time. Let's hope.
Too much poutine.
He's a big boy. That's his nickname, big boy.
Big
No, but like
dick
seriously, what do you
Nick.
guys make of what what do you guys make of the offseason acquisitions, and who stood out to you the most? To start with you, I'll start with Mateo. What do you make of any of them? Who's your pick?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Michael Bunting, he's been a force out there. There's a reason why he's a fan favorite amongst fans. Yeah, Nick Ritchie looks kind of trash, to be honest. He looks slow out there. He looks like he's been, like Evan said, of some poutine before the game.
He's having a what's it called? The wow from Smokes Poutine.
Oh my god!
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely have to go with Bunting for sure.
What about you, Jared?
I have a feeling Bunting's going to be the answer for every single one of us. Like Bunting, like he's the home run answer. Like he's been unbelievable, ultimate net front presence. Like he's always there. He's always pissing people off. He's been unbelievable. Like I expected I'd like Michael Bunting. I did not expect I'd like him this much. Like he is exactly what the Toronto Maple Leafs need. He's constantly pissing people off. He is a staple. If you ever want to know where is Michael Bunting, you look at that net and he's always in the other goalie's grill, just pissing them off. He is like I am loving this player. And I expected I'd like him. I did not think I would love Michael Bunting this much. He is unbelievable.
Do you now think seeing him for 4 games, he's the best compensation we could have got for Zach Hyman? On the market, at least?
I don't know about that. And I still think Nick Ritchie will end up being the replacement player of Zach Hyman, because I think Ritchie plays more of that role where he's going to be the guy with Matthews getting them the puck. And I still expect that he's going to be another like pest type of player where he's going to be physical and he's going to get the stars of the puck. So I think Ritchie's going to play more of that role, even though he hasn't quite done it yet. But Bunting, he's not really the Hyman role. In my mind, he's more of like the JVR role. Like he's just always in front of the net. Like he's just always getting in goalies' grills. I love it.
That's a fair point. And I mean, I always sort of, at least for me personally, I thought he kind of fulfilled the Hyman shoes a little bit. Not because obviously he didn't play with Matthews and Marner, so he's not feeding those guys the puck, but his playing style a bit. I like the way he goes to the net. He's net driven and he's always around that area getting into people's grill, like you mentioned. So I think that's just another element that we didn't really see too much of Hyman. But I mean, regardless, I enjoy watching it. We're seeing it on the score sheet and we're seeing it in the win column as he's contributing to it. So it's fun to watch him go. I think he's obviously the clear-cut one here. But I don't know, Evan, Adamo, do you guys have any other objections to Michael Bunting? Is there another player that stood out to you? I know Nick Ritchie's off to a slow start, but even Kasha, he's been pretty solid on the penalty
actually
kill.
who I was gonna say. Obviously, yeah, Michael Bunting's been the best one. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it, but Andre Kasha has been unreal. Like looking at some of his like advanced stats here, they're pretty good. Like I think 52% expected goals, and that's what you want out of a third liner. And like you mentioned on the penalty kill, he's been pretty good. I don't think he's the Andre Kasha that we're going to get from Anaheim, and that's okay because he's still been good. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say he's been like great, but just a little shout out to him. He's been cool.
Got to give him some love. And Evan, do you jump on the love train with Casa here, or you going a different direction?
I don't know. Like, I really do like Michael Bunting. I just don't think he can fill that Hyman role because, I mean, like, I know it's been a few games, but Hyman definitely provides more offensive upside throughout the year. Like, Michael Bunting, I know he has like 2 goals. It's been like hell. Like, a lot of guys start off hot and then, like, slowly as the season progresses, they start to die down. We've seen in large sample sizes that Zach Hyman is someone who can remain consistent throughout the year. But in terms of what was available on the market and at the value that the Leafs can afford, I think Michael Bunting was your best option because, like, obviously you weren't paying Zach Hyman $7 million a year. It is now $6 million a year.
He got 5.5, I think.
5. Okay, so somewhere like in the mid range.
Too much.
I don't think it's too much. Like, I think that, like, for what he brings to the Edmonton Oilers, like, he brings that penalty. He brings the same thing to the Oilers that he brought with the Leafs. I think Michael Bunting is like a Loblaws version of that. Like, he's just like a smaller version of that. But I definitely think, like, for what Kyle Dubas had to work with, like, I think he definitely made the most of it.
Yeah, definitely made the most of his opportunity. No one's complaining about Michael Bunting. He's been the clear-cut shot as the most terrific sort of new arrival for the Toronto Maple Leafs, if you will. I like the way he plays. He's no Zach Hyman. You mentioned the consistency is not going to be there, and I think that's a given. He's not going to, even in Arizona, he was a hot and cold guy. You got something, Adama?
David Kampf.
I was gonna,
You
yeah, I
forgot.
wanted to, I was gonna touch upon him in just a
I
second.
love David Kampf.
Dude, I totally forgot about him. I was like, hold on, who's the guy he's penalty killing?
But
He's
that's
been
what
unreal.
He's
Go
like
on,
a quiet guy, but I love it. He's
yeah.
such a good centerman.
And honestly, he's a lot better offensively than I expected. Like he moves the puck. He's pretty fast. Like,
well, he's a Chicago boy. They are offensive over there.
I think he scored 1 goal last year. But like,
Not what he's there to do, though.
No, he
came in, said he's
good.
going to shut down their best players, and that's all he's done.
He has
can't
been.
complain.
Like, credit to him. 2 years, 1.5. At first, I was a little iffy because I'd never heard of him, but I like it now.
Yeah, I completely agree, because when that signing was first announced, everyone was like, who the F did Kyle Dubas just find for like what is it, $1.4 million or whatever?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, who is this player? Like, what is he here to do? Like, no one really understood the signing. But yeah, I'm loving it as well, because he's such like I agree. There's no offensive upside there, but he's such a good, just a solid player. He's gonna win you faceoffs. He's gonna penalty kill well. Like, he's just actually been surprisingly noticeable, and he's actually like I'm loving him so far. He's been a great addition to the team.
Yep, and you mentioned the faceoffs. I just looked this up. I don't know if it's still accurate, but they're definitely in the top 5. The Toronto Maple Leafs, through 4 games, rank in the top 5, at least the last time I checked. It was second in the faceoff dot. They've been terrific there. Definitely something that's been overlooked. That's where you start off with the puck in the offensive zone. You win the faceoff, you're set. Go on, Evan.
Before we wrap up, I think this just all like circles back to like all the points we were making before. Like, I remember like when Jared was watching the game last night, and I heard like in the background, like, or no, I'm sorry, when I was watching overtime, like the Leafs won like 70% of the draws last night. Like, they dominated everything. Like as much as Montreal is having a meeting, I think the Leafs need to have one too, because for all that offensive power and like they're dominating faceoffs, shots on goal, like if you're winning faceoffs, you're dominating possession time. Like, it's just a matter of now getting the puck in the back of the net. Like, that's their one issue. And I think they need to have a meeting almost. Like, they scored 1 or 2 goals against Ottawa, both power play. They scored 1 against New York. Like, I think they just need to have something, because like they have all the right pieces. It's just like the finishing touch.
One thing I'd like to say to respond to that is I don't want to see us scoring those regular season type goals and run up the score 6-0. Like, it looks like what the team is trying to do is score those more playoff style goals, and I think that's what we're trying to do, and I think that's the reason why we're more of a lower scoring team right now than is maybe expected. But like, I'm like it looks like we're trying to score more of those like gritty net front, like crappy kind of goals, and I actually don't mind that. Like, I don't need to see an 8-6 like that game in Carolina. Like, I don't need to see a game like that, because that is the type of game that is not going to contribute to playoff success. Like, even though, yes, it was a fun game to watch and we ended up coming away with a win in that game, that isn't the type of games that's going to contribute to the playoffs. I want to see that we're winning those low scoring, those greasy games. So I don't hate that we're not scoring lights out right now. Obviously, it's nicer to see and it's more fun to watch. But I'm liking that we're finding other ways to score than just running up the score every night. Like, I like that we're scoring more of a playoff style goal.
The one thing I want to see going forward, I think this is going to be the last thing we're going to say about the Maple Leafs, quick responsive times. I want to see them, if they're going in a game
Yes.
on Friday night when they're facing the Sharks. They put up 41 shots against Shesterkin. I want to see you have a fast start in the first and get on the board, maybe score 2-3 goals. You respond after not being able to find the back of the net, and now you're potting in goals left, right, and center. They struggled out of the gate getting those fast starts. They were never showing up on time, as Babcock would always say. And in that game, at least against the Rangers, they showed up, I wouldn't say on time on the on the score sheet, but they were relatively productive in the offensive zone for 15 minutes of that period at least. They were extremely offensive. So I think it's coming. If you can cut that time down as short as possible, I think it's terrific. And you going to your point, Jared, if they're going to start getting into a playoff format, it starts now. Adamo, I know you touched upon it. Jared, I know you said it was just 4 games, but still, these 4 games, they got to prepare to the playoffs. This is what it all means for at the end of the day. If you can start getting it now and focus on that responsive time, I have nothing to complain with this Maple Leafs team. And if you're getting the wins, you're helping out in the in the win column, and you're going to end up maybe most likely making the postseason. And this is when it's all going to matter. So I think for 4 games, we're fine. That's the good part, bare minimum. But we're also, I think, not exceeding expectations, but meeting them in a little bit of then some. I think it's all coming together nicely. The offseason acquisitions are looking nice. Nick Ritchie maybe he's a little bit left out, but everything's sort of gelling together. And the thing that intrigues me the most out of all of them is really the face-off dot. I've never really seen that of the Maple Leafs, but finally I'm getting to see something like that happen. I can't complain, and I hope it's sustainable. And let's hope for these teams in specific, these starts that they've had. What a segue from me. Yeah, somewhat smooth. It was a little.
I noticed one earlier too. One of your transitions. It was pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I've been working on it.
Getting good at this.
I'm getting good. You do it for what, 35, 40 weeks, you should, something should stick. So they're starting to stick now, and let's hope something sticks. There's another one. Let's hope something sticks for one of these teams as they make their way down this important stretch of games for this group of teams. I mentioned them off the top of the show. I'll reiterate them once more. The Montreal Canadiens, probably the ugliest Canadian team we have seen. Those Canadiens are 0-4-0 this season, 4 losses on the year. The New York Islanders are another team. They're 1-2-0. The Winnipeg Jets, I would say the second hottest team, or on the hot seat rather, in the National Hockey League. And in Canada, they're 0-2-1 to start the season. In Vegas, like I mentioned, they're 1-1. Evan, you keep giving me the dirty look. I'm a little concerned here. Yeah, I'm not saying about their record. It's not their play. It's the guys that are just
yourself.
They're just, you can't blame me. They're in a, not a crisis, not a panic, but they're big guys are dropping. Anyways, well, we'll start with, I wouldn't say we'll start with the Habs. We'll start with whatever team you want to start with. Evan,
Vegas. All right, Vegas. We're going now.
Go ahead. I was going to say, which team should we panic about the most and which team we shouldn't?
Well, not them.
They haven't looked great though, to be fair. I don't think the results are fine. I don't think they've looked like they look like a team that could use the number 1 center right now. And there is one on the market. You see where I'm going with this, Evan? Yeah, you want to take that away?
Yeah, I actually don't know what center are you? Who are you?
Eichel, no?
Eichel.
The one in Buffalo.
God. Oh my God.
You know that guy in Buffalo?
Dude, I completely Buffalo's
The
such a
guy's
waste of space in the NHL. Like I just completely forgot about it.
Hey,
Buffalo's flying
You're
right
talking
now.
about President
3-0.
Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, like here's my thing. Like I don't like when you're talking about Vegas, I didn't even realize that Max Pacioretty and Mark Stone were hurt. Like I was watching the game, like I didn't notice them leaving. Like I didn't notice them go to the locker room. Pacioretty's out. Okay. Neither did my dad. So like piss off. Like I just didn't notice them going into the locker room, and I thought they were still on the ice. But like it's this Mark Stone doesn't need surgery. I didn't think the Max Pacioretty, like whenever he left, like I didn't think it would require 6 weeks. Like I just didn't see that one coming. In terms of, I mean, they've only played 2 games, so like it's not like there's that much to really like discuss. But I like if the reports, in terms of what you're talking about with Jack Eichel, if the reports are true that Vegas is inquired about Jack Eichel, one, it wouldn't make sense because they just traded Marc-Andre Fleury for like a bag of Doritos because they couldn't handle his cap space. So bringing in a guy like Eichel who makes $3 million more a year than Marc-Andre Fleury, like you're going to need to be giving up some of those guys on the second line, like Marchessault, I believe he makes around $5 million. Carlson is somewhere north of there. Riley Smith is also in that market, but like I just don't think Vegas wants to break that team up. And also, like, I'm just not a fan of Eichel with Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty. Like I really don't like that fit. Like it almost like I just don't like that fit. It's too much on one line. And I know like you could look at other first lines in the NHL and say, well, it worked for them. Like when you look at those first lines, those are lines that developed over time. Like when you look at Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak, like they developed over time. McKinnon and Landeskog with Rantanen developed over time. They went through the farm system. They slowly made their way up the ranks. Like when you bring in those three together, I think it's too difficult of a pair.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, I would not want all those three guys on one line. I think it'd be best in their best interest, most advantageous for the Vegas Golden Knights to split those guys up and
Then
have
there's
more
no
production.
point in trading for like
Yeah,
if you're
I
if you're
wouldn't
not
see it
putting him
either
on
way.
the first line, there's 0 point in trading him.
No, I don't see a point for Vegas even trying to get into the mix. I think they're fine the way they are. And even that cap space, what's the point of losing Marc-Andre Fleury if you're going to just erase it for Jack Eichel? Because personally, I do believe for the Vegas Golden Knights, it would be Marc-Andre Fleury to be more important than Jack Eichel would, especially with his injury history. But I don't want to focus on Jack Eichel right now. I want to focus more so on these group of teams. And the only reason why I put Vegas in there was just simply because you lose a bunch of key players. They're going to end up being just fine.
They'll be fine.
They're going to be ruling that division and they're going to get rocking. I think they kick it off tonight. I think they're facing St. Louis. Lehner's got the nod as well. So we'll see how they play in there. I think it's their third game of the year. Yep. Third game of the year. Somewhat depleted lineup, but I think they'll still be strong enough to take on the Blues and handle them pretty easily. But I want to go back to these teams, more specifically the Montreal Canadiens. I think the panic button has been flipped open and smacked all around because an 0-4 start for a guy like Bergevin, it's not a good look. And I remember this guy was on the hot seat last season as well. And I think this is my hot take. You want to hear it? So the Montreal Canadiens got 20 games until December 1st. If they don't win half of those, Bergevin is gone. What do we make of that?
I think he's gonna leave. Actually, isn't
I
there
think
like
he's gonna get
rumors
fired.
that he's just fired? No,
That's
I
what I'm
don't think
saying.
he'll
I
fire him.
think anything's gonna get canned.
I can see it.
I'm surprised he didn't get fired after signing the dude who literally said don't draft. Like after drafting
Yeah,
the dude
that
that
was
said
There's
don't.
one mistake.
That was bad.
And in the first
bad.
round, like as if any other team was lurking.
Yeah, they
for
fucking
him.
reached on him too. He wasn't even a first round talent.
Yeah, like as if any other team was looking at this dude who wants to send pictures to his buddies. Like no one was like, "Oh my god, McDavid, who?"
Yeah, back to that Bergevin take. I don't know what to make of it. Like, if we want to talk about the Habs a little bit, they really do suck. But in Bergevin's defense, they're missing Price. They're missing Shea Weber, which isn't their fault. If anything, Shea Weber was like lucky because I'm surprised Shea Weber was still playing till as long as he did, knowing the injuries that he had. Price is doing a great thing. Good for him, getting help. But like losing Dino was pretty bad. Losing Kotkaniemi was pretty bad.
But isn't it your job as the general manager to fill in those holes?
It is, but he's been around for so long and he's done so much questionable shit that if he wasn't fired back then, if he wasn't fired back when like even at the beginning of the season, like they went on that crazy run to start the year and then like through that second part of the season where they were just dog shit, that's probably when you fire him. Like I don't know. I probably Ducharme goes first, but they just signed him too. I don't know.
They just signed him. Like
You can't
that's
let
the
the
thing.
coach.
It's on Bergevin now. I think he's had his chances. They've worked all the way up the ladder. Claude Julien's already gotten botched. He's out.
Yeah, you know what?
Like Bergevin's the one guy who stuck around throughout everyone else's shuffling of chairs.
Yeah,
he's next.
This is his last year in his contract. I do know that. So maybe they just say, "The fuck with this. We're leaving and we're tanking for Shane Wright." Oh, can you imagine?
No pain, no shame.
Oh, is that the thing? Is that
the rally call now?
There's a thing.
That's what I heard. Yeah, no pain, no shame. I kind of like it.
Or the there was one for Owen Power too. I forget. Is it I
stay sour for Owen Power? I don't know.
Sour for Power, yeah, that kind of works.
Tank for McDavid. I think that was just a thing.
Like that's a class. It doesn't even rhyme. Just kind of classic.
Yeah, because
it's just like tank for McDavid or Eichel.
Yeah,
it's not what's
what the classic ones are like.
Fade for Cade in the NBA.
Like Fallen for Dolan's the best one. I love Fallen for Dolan.
Fallen for Dolan. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I love Fallen for Dolan.
Fight for right. That be a thing. Fight for right.
I still like no pain, no shame, but that's just me.
I like
T-shirt
that.
ideas.
No shame. That's really good.
I didn't. I'm not taking credit for it. I didn't create it.
That is really good.
Trending.
Yeah.
Damo, man, you're a money machine. You got to get on that. That's back-to-back episodes where you come up with this great idea for a T-shirt and you get to put it on. Like, I'm waiting.
I
We
need to get
will
on
be
that.
rich. You will be rich.
I'm copywriting that. You guys aren't making a cent.
Yours.
Well, I mean, I know their agents.
Anyways, I want to return this one to the hockey standpoint. The fact that the Montreal Canadiens are just 0-4, and then even the Winnipeg Jets 0-2-1.
Hey,
Which not pointing any fingers, Donald, but which team isn't going to be able to which team isn't going to be able to rebound from this? Like, which one's in the bigger hole? Like, I'll start with Jared first, then I'll work your way to you, Evan.
Sorry, the question's which team is in a bigger
Like,
hole
which
right now?
which one's in the worst position?
The Montreal Canadiens are, because I think at this point going into the season, like, it was known they were going to take a step back. Like, to begin with, they didn't have a good season last year. I don't want to say they fluked into the playoffs, but I mean, they wouldn't have made the playoffs in a regular year. They would have been 12 points out. The Leafs, I'd say, single-handedly made Marc Bergevin a GM of the year contender, because he was not, like, they had a very bad year. They were not a good team. They made their way to the finals because the Leafs gave them confidence, and then whatever, they lost in the finals. And then going into this year, it was known they were going to take a step back. And yeah, it shows. They're not a strong team. Like, I hate to say they suck, because it's like, oh, they just made the Stanley Cup Finals. But no, they are not a strong team. They took a major step back. They're starting off the year 0-4, and it's known that they aren't going to be very competitive, especially in the Atlantic to begin with. So I'd say at this point, like, they might as well start tanking. And I hate to say that 4 games into the season, because yes, a lot could change. We saw the St. Louis Blues in 2019. They were last place in January. They ended up winning the cup. But I still think it's pretty known they're just not a strong team to begin with, and they're starting off the year horrible, and it doesn't really look positive there at all. Like, I mean, the fact that they called in a press conference to address the issues on their team 4 games into the season is not a very promising sign at all. And then I'm just quickly looking at the Winnipeg Jets right now. I mean, the Winnipeg Jets, yes, they aren't doing good right now, but it's 3 games into their season, and yeah, they lost 2, they lost 1 in overtime. But I still think they have the pieces there that they should be competitive. And yes, it isn't working out now, but they at least have a roster where I'm like, I could see how this works. With the Montreal Canadiens to begin with, it was known they weren't going to be very good, and they're almost just proving everyone right there. So I think Winnipeg, it's definitely possible that they could turn it around. It's pretty doable there, especially in the Central. But I think for the Habs in the Atlantic, it's pretty much done with. And I hate to say that this early into the season, but it does not look promising at all right now.
Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, like, I'm going to go with the hot take, and I'm going to say that I think the Winnipeg Jets are in more trouble, and I'll tell you why. We already knew going into this season that Montreal wasn't going to be well. I didn't expect Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki to start off this cold, but I already knew goaltending was going to be an issue, and losing a guy like Shea Weber, who's your captain, like, that affects your locker room in so many levels. Like, not having that voice can be the difference in you winning a 1-goal game and even losing a 1-goal game, and even going into a tough matchup. Like, no disrespect to guys like Jeff Petrie, and even like a leader like Nick Suzuki, who's proven that he can really step up. Like, it's not the same veteran presence and voice as Shea Weber. I'd say Winnipeg, because, and I understand their defense is a little streaky right now. Since I'd say about 15 games from last season up until now, I don't know, like, I'm really not a fan of Connor Hellebuck. And I'm like, I understand defense plays a factor into it, but I'm looking at the games that he's playing and the goals he's giving up. Like, some of these goals that we're seeing him give up are goals that, like, we've used to see him save. Like, even if you look at Mason McTavish's first goal when the Ducks were at home versus Winnipeg, like, that's a shot that goes right in Hellebuck's chest, falls out, and falls right into the hands of Mason McTavish, which ends up being a difference maker in that game. Like, it's just, I like, whatever happened last season, and I know, like, Hellebuck was playing teams like Edmonton and Toronto, like, high scoring, powering offenses. You still, like, that's no excuse to be giving up 5 to 6 goals each stint. Like, you can't be doing that each game. And your excuse can't be, oh, it's Connor McDavid. Oh, it's Austin Matthews. Like, you're in the NHL. Like, I'm like, pull a Soph here. No shoot. Like, you're playing the best of the best. Like, these guys aren't playing in Russia. Like, you're playing in the best league in the world. You can't be giving up that amount of goals regardless.
100%. You want to say something, Jared?
Yeah, so I just wanted to comment on that. The reason that I think Montreal, I completely agree with everything you said there. The reason I think Montreal is in a worse position is because Winnipeg right now, yes, they're doing terrible, but they at least have the pieces where you could see how it could work.
Thank you.
Because
That's what
Connor
I was gonna say.
Hellebuck, as much as, yes, he isn't playing well right now, we know what he's capable of, and he could easily turn it around. Montreal doesn't even have the pieces there right now where it's easy to see them turning it around. Like, Winnipeg has all the right pieces there. It just isn't clicking right now. It's early in the season. They can very easily turn it around. And
No.
the big example I look at is St. Louis, where it was like in 2019, they made a lot of off-season acquisitions. It was like expected they were going to be a good team. They started off horrible. Eventually, all their pieces clicked, and they ended up going on a run and winning the cup. Winnipeg, not that I think that's going to happen, but Winnipeg has the pieces there. It's just they simply aren't working. You look at Montreal; they don't even have the pieces. Like, I don't even see a way that it could work. Like, I just don't see their team turning it around.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, they, from the last 15 games, including playoffs, which Winnipeg got swept, until last 15 games, playoffs now, it's concerning. And that's why, like, because that's why I said hot take, because you already knew Montreal was going to be in the dog pound. Like, you expect Winnipeg to be a top team.
We all did. And I think I don't know. I like both what you guys are saying. Jared, I absolutely agree with you. They have the pieces. I think for the Habs, I think it's the inside, like the players. I don't know if you guys took a glimpse, not just at the scoreboard yesterday against San Jose, but the way they played. I watched a bit of the game. No work ethic whatsoever from those players. They did not look like, you're telling me, in one of the biggest, debatably a top 3 hockey state in the National Hockey League, playing in front of your home fans who, let's face it, you haven't seen a packed house in quite a while. If you want to exclude the playoffs, whatever have you, that was even limited capacity, but you're playing in front of a packed house at home, one of the biggest hockey markets, and you come flat to a San Jose Sharks team, one of the worst. Well, I wouldn't say one of the worst, but the part of that.
They're one of the worst.
They're one of the worst. You can say it.
Oh, no,
Okay.
yeah, they're bad.
really ugly team,
They're
and they dish you
trash.
out 5-0. They wash you out. Like, if that happened to the Leafs, oh buddy, and I know they're doing it in Montreal because I know Montreal how it works. It's just identical to the Leafs media, sometimes even worse and more harsh. But again,
Languages.
in different languages, you got to listen to two sides. But no, it's the Montreal Canadiens. It's the inside, and I think that's harder to change. You mentioned Evan, the captain, plays an entirely big role in that situation. I think they're seeing it right now. Bergevin is taking the blame for it, and rightfully so. It's his group; he should be taking for it. But it's also those guys on the ice who need to want it. And I think the Winnipeg Jets, thankfully, are in that situation. They want it. We saw it last night where they were in that game. They didn't want it enough maybe to win it, but they still want to get into it, and they want to continue or have success because they know they have the pieces to do it. I think it just has to click for them. But again, I don't know. Do you want to say something, Adamo? And then I'll switch it over to you, Mateo, because I know we haven't given you too much time yet as well. And then we'll just maybe run it over to Seattle. But Adamo, take it away.
Yeah. Montreal has looked so bad, and I'm not complaining because screw them.
No bias. No bias.
No, what is bias? Their third line is Mike Hoffman on the left. Oh, that's pretty good. 30-goal guy. Brendan Gallagher on the right. Oh, that's pretty good. 30-goal guy. Does anyone want to guess who their third line center is?
Perot? Is it Perot?
No, the guy who flips the
Wide-
burgers at McDonald's across the street.
Might as well be.
Mike Camilleri? No.
Mike
Nope.
Camilleri.
Nope. But I taught his kids how to skate. That's a story for another time.
I see it. I see it
Um,
now. I'm looking at Daily Face.
I haven't got it in front of
Who
me.
is it?
You said Adam Brooks. You'd be correct.
Boy,
It is
I hated that, man. I hated that.
Adam Brooks.
Leafs legend.
Leafs
I was
legend,
just about to
man.
say, Jared, like, anyone who like touched a leaf is a Leafs legend.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. Like Winnipeg, I think they'll be fine just because we're worried about I'd say a top 2 goalie in the world, at times the best goalie in the world. I think he'll bounce back to at least be an average goalie. So they'll be fine. But Montreal, they're in the mud. Like they seriously might get shamed, right? Do you guys hear my dog barking in the background?
Is it a Habs
Okay.
fan?
You better gut that
They're
thing.
sounding
Might
off
as well
right now.
be. Might as well be. Yeah, there's someone at the front door. But
You
yeah.
better gut that dog.
Yeah, the Habs look like shit. They look pretty bad.
Yeah, and I mean we've kind of covered it all. Mateo, do you have anything to add about the Habs, Jets? Even if you want to go to the Islanders, I know they haven't looked too pretty, but still it's early and they're a dominant team no matter which way you split it. What do you make of the list I provided, and which teams out of the worst? The Habs, Winnipeg Jets. What do you make of it?
So I think you could do the automatic panic button whenever you lose to Buffalo 4-0. It's just automatic. You have to hit there for when you lose the was it 5-0? Even worse. Even worse.
I didn't even know they had 5
5-1.
guys on their team.
Yeah, I think it was 5. It was 5-1.
Give me 5 Buffalo Sabres. Go.
Jeff Skinner scores a goal, and then it's an automatic panic button for sure. I think Winnipeg. I think it's still a bit early for them. Like Jared said before, they still have the pieces. They got Hellebuck, who's proved to be a Vezina candidate, and Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele. So in that perspective, definitely Winnipeg has a more optimistic future, as I think Montreal looks like a joke of a team. And like at least the past 10 years, they've had like third liners like on their first line, in my opinion. Like going back from the Brian Giunta days, like since then, like they haven't had like a true number one center, if you think about it. Like Mark Bergevin hasn't really gone out of his way to get like a number one center in the past 10 years, basically. So yeah, I'd probably say that about the Winnipeg Jets. Transitioning to the New York Islanders, I have a few things to say about that. The New York Islanders are a very interesting team. Like we were talking before the show that they weren't very good defensively. I think if they stick to Barry Trotz's game plan in the next few games, they could for sure fix those defensive issues for sure. Like last year in the playoffs, they're a very defensive team, and they shut down. Like when I was watching them play against the Penguins, they were shutting them down almost every line.
Not that hard to do.
Oh god.
No, we're bringing back the chat from yesterday. No.
Oh god. Oh, I was gonna say
It was getting personal.
It was getting personal a little bit between me and Adam. Adam Pollock was shutting down Sid for a lot of the series. So I'd say in the future for sure. And I would say one thing that the Islanders are suffering right now is they don't have Simon Vermalov in the lineup right now, as I feel like Ilya Sorokin's not really a number one goalie right now. He's kind of a bit like on and off, in my opinion, Sorokin. Especially like he's like a few games he plays good and a few games he plays bad. So I feel like when Vermala gets in the lineup, mark my words, I think the Islanders will be first in the Metro by Christmas.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
No one seen that? Oh,
Yeah. Anyways, Islanders, I got faith in them. They're solid. They're a defense. We've always talked about it. They'll be fine. There's no concern there.
Yeah.
Easily favorites to still run the table in the Metro. And I mean, if we want to just look right back at the Jets and the Montreal Canadiens for the last time, I guess you could just look at it this way. Paul Maurice has a puzzle to put back together with some missing pieces that he got to link together. Bergevin's dealing with the shattered glass. Like these guys, there's nothing there. There's nothing there that he can do. The players, like you mentioned it, third line, their whole team's third line players. Get rid of Caulfield and Toffoli. Suzuki. Sorry.
Gross.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's a decent player. But no, take away those guys, you're a bunch of third line players. That's the biggest problem I've had with the Habs in the past. Finally biting them in the butt. As Leafs fan, it's kind of nice to see. But from a hockey standpoint,
ends up there.
Yeah, until Shane Wright's ripping stuff bar down against Jack Campbell and Michael Hutchison, because he'll be the starter one day.
Gonna find his way back.
He'll find his way.
My word.
He's still finding his way.
He's like a rash to the Leafs. He's always there. He's always playing somehow. Michael Hutchison. I don't know how.
Yeah, he's a bad rash. Spreads throughout the team. They usually play bad with him in there. But no, he's probably a good guy. I don't know. Yeah. You get kicked in the teeth that many times, I'm sure you grow some thick skin.
Sure.
Anyways, another team that should be growing thick skin, and it's basically because we thought they were going to be pretty good, or I wouldn't say pretty good. We thought they'd be like offensive, productive, but this team's been nothing but that. It's been a week of firsts for this team. I think you know where I'm getting on to. For the newest member of the NHL family, Seattle Kraken.
Unreal transitions.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Keep going, buddy.
Yeah. So they scored their first goal in their franchise history, scored by Ryan Donato, of course. They took their first loss to the preceding expansion team, the Vegas Golden Knights. That was pretty interesting. They took their first win in franchise history to the Nashville Predators, and they laid their first goose egg of their franchise history. One, hopefully not of many, to the Philadelphia Flyers. It was ugly in 6-1 fashion. And they dropped a pair of 1-goal games, which I don't know, that I think that might be a common theme, something to look out for, especially throughout this season, because I don't know if this team has the right ability to come back and even shut the door on some teams when they're up. I think it's going to be a common theme with this squad and something to look out for. It's just personally one thing I've seen from the Kraken. And biggest thing of all that almost everyone's been talking about, Philip Grubauer. This guy has fallen back to earth and has hit a brick wall. He's showing just how much a team can carry a goaltender in the National Hockey League and how it doesn't work always the other way around. They already got their face knocked into the Flyers on Monday, falling 6-1. We knew the Seattle Kraken would be mediocre, not that great, not as the Vegas Golden Knights were, and they went to the Stanley Cup final. I know it's early, but I expect to see a lot more noise coming from this team. Would you guys not agree? Like, what do you make of the first impression? What are your first impressions with the Kraken? Evan, I'll start with you.
I'll go first. There's a reason why Evan Davis didn't draft Philip Grubauer and why he did last year, because he was on Colorado. Now he's in Seattle. Like, I knew he would be good last year because the team in front of him is disgusting. Like, you could put Stevie Wonder at goalie for the Avalanche. He's a Vezina candidate. Like, the team is unreal. Jared.
Jared's having a ball.
But anyway, like, I think we did get spoiled with the Vegas Golden Knights. I think also it didn't turn out as well for the Kraken because teams realized what they needed to do this time, and they were a little unfamiliar last time. Like, there were a lot of like sneaky trades that Vegas made in order to be like, oh, you give us a first-round pick, we won't take your player. Let us use that first-round pick to get Mark Stone from Ottawa. Like, they were smart with it. And I think that was the problem that Seattle had, was that they couldn't really like fleece your team. And because guys like then now managers knew like, oh, this is now how we have to handle our cap situations. And this is who we should protect because we saw from Vegas, look what happened. So I think it was unfortunate for Seattle. And again, with Philip Grubauer, like, I think there was a reason why Colorado said we're willing to let you go, is because they think that anyone that's semi-decent can be a goalie, like can be a number one for them. So it's like, fine, like you want to get your money, we respect that. You're just not getting it in Colorado.
I think his value would have skyrocketed actually if he was in Colorado. He would have had the records. He would have gone to the arbitrator and say, listen, my numbers are stellar, top of the league. Let me make my money. But
I don't think he would have won the arbitration. Like, he wouldn't have won arbitration.
I don't know how those talks work. Yeah.
It's normally in the middle, honestly. That's what happens.
Like,
I think he'd make good money, though, with Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he would have, because it was a matter of if you're going to keep Landeskog or Grubauer, and they made the right choice.
No, I mean, I think that's what he means. Like,
team
had to pay him good money. That's like, Grubauer,
I just personally don't think he deserves. Like, starting goaltender minimum is $5 million in my eyes. Like, that's how much your one should be making. I thought he should have gotten 5.5, and like cap it at that, because it's too small of a sample size. Like, get paid a little bit more than guys like Demko, but like still a little less than guys like Fleury. Like, I think that's a perfect margin to put him in.
He opened our eyes though with the Kraken. Like, he's been
I don't think anyone's really surprised.
No, I think we kind of expected this heading in.
Like real hockey fans like aren't surprised. Like, people that like follow it like religiously aren't surprised by the downfall by Grubauer.
Yeah, he's the topic of discussion by far, because you're mixing in those hockey fans who kind of expected it, like you said, and all those new guys, even the new followers of the Seattle Kraken, saying, well, what did we just get? We just got a bag of poop here on my doorstep. But no, we kind of knew Grubauer was going to follow this path. It was hard to follow up, especially with such a dominant team who carried most of the workload for him and kept the sheet clean and the way clean as well in front of the net. Like, they did almost all the work for him, it looks like. I think he's going to rebound a little bit. I don't think he's going to be as bad throughout the rest of the season, but definitely not a good look for Kraken fans, for fantasy owners who bought high on the Gru train here. But
Can I say one last thing before I end this?
Go ahead, man.
Stevie Wonder, if you're watching, I get it. I'm sorry. All right, I'm done now.
You guys want a fun stat on the Kraken?
No, I don't care
Kinda.
about the crack.
I love
how
your
about,
stats.
how about not the Kraken? The it's more around the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Is it a good one?
It's going to be a Jared McCann related thing, isn't it?
Jared McCann would be leading the Leafs in points.
Yep. Yeah.
Penguins
Hey, we
go.
got Kerfoot.
Hey, Kerfoot
He scored. He did
Kerfoot
score.
He scored.
Kerfoot is part
Kerfoot
of
scored.
What?
but Kerfoot
What
is
Kerfoot?
part of like the face-off winning.
I don't care.
I take
I don't
points
have a
over
problem with
face-offs.
Kerfoot. Yeah, but McCann has to be better.
Oh, now we'll take points over face-offs. Okay, but when Evan said goals, we don't want goals. We want like the
I mean,
No, I think McCann would definitely be the leading goal scorer too on the Leafs. He's like 5 points in 4 games, McCann. He's been pretty good.
He's a good player.
He's a great
When he
player.
was on the Penguins, he's a really good player.
Yeah,
Good
who
depth
cares
player.
about the Penguins.
Good Penguins.
Bro,
he's got a bone
we'll
to
see
pick
when they
with your
play.
Penguins.
Yeah, I
Man.
know. Always
Yeah.
a shot.
I hate Sid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll turn it over to you, Jared. What do you make of the Kraken? What's your first impression on them, Grubauer, all that
I
jazz?
mean, obviously they've been underwhelming right now, but I just want to say, like, my prediction is still, I do think they're going to pick it up a little bit. It's been a slow start, obviously, for them. And I think because of that, it's kind of not been as talked about. Like, when Vegas came into the league, and yes, it had to do with them winning a lot, but it was just such a big story. And I don't know if this is just the things I follow on Twitter, whatever. Like, I haven't heard a ton of talk about them. Like, I expected they'd be marketed better. But that's a story for another day. I think there's no question they're a bad team right now. I mean, they're 1-5. Sorry, they have one win in 5 games. However, I do think they're going to turn it around. And my prediction going into the season is that they'd make the playoffs in a wild card spot. And I'm just going to say, as much as they're horrible right now, they are still currently tied for 4th in the Pacific and are in a wild card spot. So the prediction isn't looking crazy because they are not looking good, but they are thankfully in a pretty bad division. And I think they're somehow going to still make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a solid team. I like the pieces they have there. Yes, it's no question that Grubauer isn't on the team he used to be on, and his numbers are going to struggle as a result of that. But I still like their team overall. Their jerseys are beautiful. And I think the team will, as it starts to click and as they start getting chemistry, I do think their numbers are going to get somewhat better. And I do still think they're going to end up cracking a playoff spot. It likely will be in the wild card. I don't think they're going to win the division like Vegas did, but I think they're going to be a good team. I like the pieces they have there. Obviously, it's not starting off great, but the fact that they're in the Pacific, they are currently in a playoff spot with 1 win in 5 games. So you never know what's going to happen with those Kraken.
No, it's time to get Kraken if you're the Seattle Kraken, because the time is, I would say running out, but it's time to make some noise. I know Evan liked that one. That was nice.
Shocking.
Yeah,
shocking.
He wasn't ready.
I give it like a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd, eh?
Yeah. No bites. I'll turn over to you before we transition to maybe a more appetizing topic and more fun topic. Oh, Jesus. Wow. Dog going off.
Dogs. Yeah.
Anyways, what do you make of the Kraken? Your first impressions? I know you mentioned Jared McCann. Jared McCann, like our Jared. Too much baseball in here. Jared McCann. I know you touched upon him. What do you make of Grubauer? Their first impressions? Take it away.
Yeah, they look pretty bad.
That's a general word around here.
We pretty much hit on everything. Vince Dunn, I've actually liked. I think he's a really good player. Jared McCann, I'm still pissed off that we didn't take him, but I haven't been impressed by a lot of guys that I thought it would be. Jordan Eberle being one of them. He's been like non-existent. I like Alexander Wenberg. I actually wanted the Leafs to go after him, but he's made quite a bit of money in Seattle. I think he's making like 4.5. But like they look like an average team. I think I just had their money puck up. And I think they're at like bottom. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bottom 6 in expected goals, which is not great at all. And if we're talking goals for percentage, so like who scored all the goals, they're 4th last at 30%. So there's not much to say on them. They're an expansion team that fits the brand. Another fun stat, because I just love stats. Maybe this is more of a fact. They have lost a third of their team. The team that they drafted, 33% of them aren't on the roster anymore. and all they've got from those 33% was a second round pick and 2/4. That's it. That's all they've gotten. And you compare that to what Vegas did, where they were literally charging teams like first round picks to not touch their players. Ron Francis might need to step it up here.
I think they came in at a bad time. I think that's evidence with what Vegas did in the past. They just, like you mentioned, Evan, the GMs knew what they were walking into when they got on the phone with Ron Francis around the draft time. Like, you knew he was going to try to swing you. You're not falling for it again. I know a lot of teams made their mistakes against the Vegas Golden Knights. That's the reason why they're so successful. You're not doing that with the Seattle Kraken. I think, I don't know, you could look at it the other side too. Like, they came in at a time where the Pacific Division is sort of scuffling a little bit. There's more room to improve there. You've now put yourself a little bit over the top with the California teams, that trio there, who's still sort of rebuilding slowly but surely. So I think they come into the right time to maybe get into the playoffs, maybe make a little bit of noise, get some recognition around your brand. But aside from your roster and what's going to look like in the next 2 to 3 years, especially this year right now, it was a tough timing for the NHL to expand upon the Seattle Kraken into those parts of the Pacific Northwest. So I think it's going to be a common theme, seeing their mediocrity. I can see them stepping it up, maybe going a couple hot streaks. Jared, you were talking about that. But again, you mentioned, Adamo, those goals for percentages. They do mean a big difference, especially on the score sheet. That's what's going to win you games. Putting the puck in the back of the net, as obvious as it sounds, it's what remains true across this National Hockey League. You need guys to score. They don't got it yet. Maybe they'll fix something. Maybe they'll grab a piece to fill that void. But the early return on the Seattle Kraken is, we were too naive, and I think it's just a little too much. Like, there's nothing really there to intrigue me just yet. Nothing too much. And I think we're all going to say the same thing. I don't want to run in circles here. Mateo, do you have anything else to offer? Anything different to bring to the table? Because I think the Seattle Kraken are just a one-sided fan base, one-sided story right now.
Yeah, I definitely agreed with Jared's take. Like, I feel like they're definitely gonna make they're gonna be better halfway through the season, and they're gonna make a wild card spot because how bad their division is and what a joke it is. For sure they have like a few good pieces on defense with Giordano, Larson, and you know what? You guys were talking like about Grubauer. It's just 4 games, so I don't know. He could definitely make a comeback for sure. Maybe there is a case that in Avalanche he was carried by their amazing decor and offense. So yeah, I would for sure say that I think the Kraken still can make a transition to a better team, but they still are a very bad team on paper.
Yeah, they don't pass the paper test, that's for sure. They don't look too great there. Jared, you want to chime in before we move on to some big signings that we got into?
I'm just going to say, and Dan was right, the team obviously has changed since the expansion draft, but at expansion, I think Seattle looked better on paper than Vegas did. And Vegas was rolling purely off of momentum, and they were clicking as a team, whatever. And obviously, it was a great story. They made it all the way to the finals. It was great. But I think on paper, even I'd have to look at the rosters day one Vegas, day one Seattle. So I can't say this with 100% confidence, but like, at least in my mind right now, I think I like Seattle's team right now better than I liked Vegas's team in their first year, because Vegas's team was purely rolling off of momentum. They all bought into the system of, oh, we're these ragtag, like these underdogs, we're going to prove everyone wrong. And it was a great story, but they weren't actually a stacked team on paper. And obviously after they made the finals, everyone kind of turned around and said like revisionist history of, oh yeah, like the league gifted them a great team and they were gifted a super team. They really weren't a super team in that first year. They were going purely off momentum. And I think if Seattle sort of forms the identity, and it's definitely not too late to do this, it's still very early in Seattle's tenure as a team. And Seattle definitely could form an identity where they become, oh, everyone's doubting us. We started off garbage. Why don't we click together and we start proving people wrong? So I definitely think it's not too late for them. And I want to see them turn it around. I want to see them start winning some games, because that's when the media kind of catches on to their team. Right now, as I was saying before, like no one really, I don't want to say no one cares about them, but it hasn't been, obviously their first win was exciting to see. There was memes and stuff about that. But otherwise, no one's really talking about them because they aren't doing much. I think as soon as they start winning games, it'll become a fun story. So I want to see it, and I hope to see them start clicking, because I do actually like their team better than I liked Vegas's in that first year. And I think it's just a matter of time before they start sort of forming chemistry, forming identity. And I hope to see them go on a bit of a run. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I like that point. I mean, it's fair to say. I don't know. Like, has Seattle played a home game yet?
No, they're
No.
not ready yet.
My dad's trying to go to their home opener though.
Do you know when it
That's
is by chance?
It's sometime, I believe, this week. I believe it's tomorrow. I even want to.
Could be. I don't know. But that's the thing.
I
Like,
thought I did see something about that.
wait till they play a home game. Let's see if this place is rocking.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
We haven't seen anything.
Even
Like,
on the road.
look at this is what we're looking everything into the eyes of Vegas. We're all looking from Vegas's point perspective, seeing look what they did. They had so much success out of the gate. They had so much success in their first year. Look at the market they played in. The Fortress was packed day one, preseason, even if you want to go that far.
Yeah.
Go on.
Seattle's first game is Saturday. Home game is Saturday.
That place is going to be rocking on a Saturday night, first game in franchise history. Wait till then to maybe lead your final opinion. I know we're not leaving any final opinions, but leave a big nail in the coffin for the Seattle Kraken, because I can guarantee you they'll get it rolling. I don't know who they face. Who do they face? Did you
The
say
Canucks.
it? The Canucks. Oh, there you go.
They can
You come out with a win against your rival up north. Buddy, this place is going to get rocking. Seattle's going to be back on the map. Not that it ever was off it, but it's really looking like this team was in the water, and I think they're going to emerge out of it like a Kraken would. And I don't know. I think it's gonna work out for them if they get that win. If not, you got to wait a little bit. There's going to be maybe a little bit of a confidence issue in the locker room, but I'm not writing off this team just yet. I don't think any of you guys are, but I don't know. It's been mediocre. Grubauer hasn't been terrific. A lot of mediocre names, but I think if you get a win on home soil, start getting some things together, putting some pieces together, you can easily, like you said, Jared, make an identity. I think that's the biggest thing for this team to have success. You get an identity, now you got a rep, and now you got a bunch of wins in the win column, and now you're in a playoff spot. And maybe you might find yourself like the Vegas Golden Knights did in a Stanley Cup final. Who knows? It's hockey. Anything can happen, man. Anything can happen.
I love it.
Yes, sir. That's what 16, 17 years of a Leafs fan has taught me. But anyways, we'll get into some signings to finish off the show. We've been running for, I don't know, about an hour and a half. And we've been doing pretty well for ourselves. And just to finish things off with some signings, Brady Tkachuk, he finally met, you guys were in the building, actually. This guy was pumping it up. Pumping the Canadian Tire Center up, getting it rocking after he inked. He put pen to paper, signing a 7-year, $57.5 million deal. I'm really a little concerned why it took that long. I think he didn't want really too much term, but he ended up getting a lot of term and a fair value, I would say. He's a terrific player. He's part of the core, and he's going to lead them. Hopefully for the Ottawa Senators fans' sake, the promised land, because he's definitely a big piece. I'll go through all the signings like we usually do, and then you guys just sound off as you may. Ryan Pulock signed an 8-year, $6.15 million deal. Nick Suzuki signed an 8-year, $63 million deal. And Charlie McAvoy locked up a big-time money for a defenseman here, and he's a top defenseman. He does deserve it. 8 years at $76 million. So I'll turn it over to you guys just now. Which signing is your favorite? And the biggest steal of the four is Evan Davis?
I don't know if there were, I think the only steal would be Ryan Pulock at getting him at $6 million. I'm really not a fan of, like, I understand guys like McAvoy, Suzuki, Brady Tkachuk. Dude, like, I don't think, like, I'm tired of like these types of players making this much money. I love Brady Tkachuk. I'm not a fan of $8 million a year. Like, it's just, I'm used to, I wish they went back to the days where guys were taking bridge deals and like the 3-year deals, like Taves and Kane, they took bridge deals and then got paid. Like, it seems like these large contracts, like, over time start to screw teams over because they're taking that small sample size and then they're hoping it rides for the next 8 years. Like, I don't agree with it. I agree with the AAV for McAvoy. I don't agree with the year. Like, I agree with the AAV for these guys. I don't agree with the years.
Why is that? Why are teams now starting to go the lengthy sort of place where they're locking up guys for 7-8 years, those maximums, instead of bridge deals?
I don't
Patterson's
know.
the only one that comes to mind that was a bridge deal that was, I think, could be beneficial. My personal reason why I'll turn over to you just now, but the only reason why I think they do that is because they don't want to see like a guy like Patterson produce. Like, say he signed that massive deal, well, he's on the bridge deal now. If he starts going off like he is, like we know he could with the Canucks, you only have him for 3 years. And that's compared to if you had him for 8, you have that increased window where he's producing at his best rate for your team. Now he can be producing at his best rate for your team. And by that third year, you don't have enough money to afford him. So you have to ship, or he's got to go sign somewhere else. That's my perspective. I don't know. Do you see it that way? Like, that's why I'm a little questionable about these long signings.
I just don't get it, because even if you did a 3-year bridge deal, they're still a restricted free agent. So it's not like they can really go anywhere. Like, a team can offer sheet them, but then it's just like matching it. Like, that doesn't seem to be the issue. But it's just like, I don't know. I've not been a fan of rookies coming out of their rookie contracts and then instantly going to an 8-year deal. Like, it just doesn't. It's like, I think these guys are great. Just too small of a sample size still to tell. Like, Brady Tkachuk has played, I think, 2 full seasons. Or is this is his 3rd season in the NHL?
I think it's
So
his
it's
third,
like,
yeah.
so it's like, come on, like, let's wait a little here.
I also
I hear
think
you.
Tkachuk is a bad example, though, because he is a little overpaid for a guy that's never hit 60 points.
He's
think
also
it's
in
a little
Ottawa.
overpaid.
He
Yeah,
hasn't
but
had as much.
okay,
help.
remember, guys don't just like. That's one thing I don't like. What people say when people talking about like Christian Dvorak coming to the Canadians. Oh, he put up 50 points in Arizona. Imagine what he'll put up in Montreal. No, he's still Christian Dvorak. Like, you put Brady Tkachuk on Toronto. Okay, maybe he gets 65, maybe 70 points. That's still not an $8 million player.
I think when you're looking at the Tkachuk deal, I think it was what else he brought into the table.
Yeah.
Like, you look at, I'm just looking on a fantasy perspective because, that's my addiction these days, but he's
Shots and
balancing
hits.
those, shots and hits, high shots, high hits. Now that works great for your fantasy roster, but I wouldn't say it's that bad of an idea for your NHL roster, the team you're trying to put together. And then he's a leader as well. He's probably going to get the captaincy, maybe even Tim Stützle. It can go either way.
No, Tim Stützle. He's too young.
He is too young.
It's Tkachuk.
McDavid was a young guy too.
Tkachuk.
You're really going to put Tim Stützle with Connor frickin' McDavid.
Yeah, I don't mean it that way, but still, the
I have the power to mute you. I can do that.
Wow, it's going to mute the host.
Like,
oh, it's a poll.
That's like putting up a Prius with a Tesla. Like, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, I could have worked a little bit better on that, but I meant the age. And I don't know, Jared, what do you make of the big signings? Guys going for longer deals, teams going for longer deals compared to short terms.
I mean, I'm actually the opposite of Evan's opinion. I like that they're locking down these young guys long term. I mean, yes, there's risk attached to them because after only a small sample size, what if these guys end up not living up to it? So yes, there's definitely risk. But especially when you look at the situation of Brady Tkachuk, it's not only what he does for them on the ice. He is the player that fans in Ottawa go to see. Fans in Ottawa want to see Brady Tkachuk play. He's going to bring them so much like money in terms of merchandise and stuff like that. He's just such an important part of their team. Why wouldn't you want to tell the fans that you have faith in this player and are locking them down for the first 8 years of their career? Like, I like the idea of locking down a young kid for long term, because why would you want to sort of kick the can down the road and be like, oh, in 3 years from now, we're going to have to do this all over again. And there's a chance that they hold out and there's a chance that they leave the team. Why would you want to risk that? I think in my mind, I like the fact that you're locking down a player that you know is going to be a big part of your core moving forward. Why wouldn't you want to just get it signed and done with? And that is your captain for the next 8 years. Like, I personally, yes, you could talk about Brady Tkachuk being overpaid. There's definitely an argument there. I think he certainly is overpaid. But I like the fact that they locked him down because it is known that Brady Tkachuk is your next captain. He is purely the part of your identity moving forward. He's like a fun guy. Everyone loves him. He is also a good player. And like you said, he provides everything on the ice from the hits to the everything. And I do think his production is going to go up as well. I like the fact that you're locking him down. You look at Nick Suzuki in Montreal, you can make an argument about, the money and whatever. But that is a huge part of your core moving forward, especially if you look at how Montreal's doing this year, where they clearly don't look like they're going to be a competitor. Why wouldn't you want to lock down your superstar centerman for the future long term? Like, why wouldn't you want to get him locked down so you don't have to deal with the issues in a few years? And I personally like the fact that you take a young kid, you give them their money, and they're on your team for the foreseeable future.
I think GMs just don't like to gamble anymore. I think they like to play it safe. Lock up your guys, your young guys especially. I think the one GM that has been gambling a little bit might be Jim Benning. He's been, I don't know, like that Patterson deal. I do think it could still bite them. That 3 years, like, he's a terrific player. I'm sure if he produces it the way he does, they're not going to be able to afford him because Vancouver is in a cap crunch as we speak. So I don't know. I think those are the two sides you look at. I know I keep bringing up this Pettersson example, but it's what we've seen in the last couple of months. We've seen him first and foremost in his contract talks and now signing that bridge deal. I think the bridge deal is going the way of the dodo, and we're not seeing it as much. Like,
can I say, I know I've been talking a lot. Can I just say one
Go.
thing before? Like,
Go ahead.
Podcast.
I think it's just because, but even if you like with the Pettersson, but if you look at the deals like Taves and Kane, like everyone knew how good they were, and I guarantee you teams were going to offer sheet them something. I just think GMs back then were also playing it more like smart to the point where it's like we can sign, like we can just like gauge how much how much more we should be paying them. Like you can get to a point, knock on wood, with some of these guys like Kachuk, Suzuki, and McAvoy, where you're like, holy crap, they're making this much. Like if you did a 3-year and then do another evaluation, like it's not the worst thing.
No, that's sort of like the point I'm trying to make. Like you can sort of build off of that rather than you're set in stone with that 8 years. That guy's in the long haul for 8 years. All you have to do is trade him. Look at Jack Eichel. Like he signed a massive deal in Buffalo. Totally different circumstances. Obviously, he got hurt.
Good deal. $10 million is a steal
for Jack Eichel.
Yeah,
100%. But $10 million for a guy sitting in the bar drinking beers. That's I mean, that's my dream job. But I won't be complaining. But I'm sure the Buffalo Sabres are like they're doing right now. They're throwing fits and not letting that guy go. And I hate it for the league. I hate it for the team. They're making more bad marks on themselves than they are good. Yeah. Everyone wants to see Jack Eichel. Buffalo fans want to see Jack Eichel get out of there, see what he can do. Because I personally love him. He's I've always loved him. I've always valued him more than Austin Matthews. I threw my bias out the window that way. I don't know. I love him. I love the way he plays.
That's a really bad take.
Bad. It's bold.
It's a bold take. I'll say that. It's not bad. There's no bad takes.
It's a horrible take.
Except that one.
It's out there. I don't know. I've always I'll live on that hill. I'll die on that hill. I've said at the beginning. It's not like I'm saying this just now. Like I started when he came out into the league, right? And Matthews followed up suit. So I don't know. It's just been just me. That's always been my slice of the cake for the Eichel party. And I don't want to focus on Eichel now. I just want to focus on these signings. I know he's brought into the conversation all the time. We talk about contracts. Yep. And to finish it off here, if none of you have anything else to add, I'll just throw it to Mateo. What do you make of the signings, Mateo? We got a bunch to pick at here. Which one do you think was the biggest steal? And of course, what do you make of the term? I think that was a big discussion that we were looking at. 8 years is better than 3 years. 3 years better than 8. What do you make of that?
So I definitely agreed again with Jared's part of saying like fans want to go to see the games for the star players, and like players like Brady Tkachuk and Nick Suzuki are what fans want to see. They're not going to go to a game to see Josh Norris and Drake Batherson stink it up every game. They're going to see Brady Tkachuk score goals and make the other team go crazy. Basically, so for the contracts, I agree with the longer contracts. I like that because if you lock them down for longer, you don't have to worry in the future of signing them again. And if they're going to be your best player, like for example, Ottawa here, I don't see anybody that's going to be better than Brady Tkachuk in the next few years, unless they make a few good trades in the next few years. Like, Brady Tkachuk needs to be on Ottawa for the future, and Nick Suzuki is going to be there, needs to be there for the future. Like if Nick Suzuki is gone and he goes to another team and Christian Dvorak's your number one center, it's over for the Canadiens. You know what I mean? So that's what I for sure have to say about that. Yeah, that's my take.
I want to point something out about one of these contracts.
I messed something up on my notes.
You did? Oh, you did?
No, did I? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, no. That's not what I was going to talk about. No, you're good, man. You're good, man.
Thank you. Except my takes.
Your little blurb here is which signing is your favorite and the biggest steal out of the four?
Yeah.
I'll answer both of those with one. It's the best defenseman in the world. Just got paid best defenseman in the world money. Over 8 years, too. I love Charlie McAvoy.
He's no Seth Jones.
He is no Seth Jones. If Seth Jones can make 9.5, I guess so could Charlie McAvoy. Charlie McAvoy is the best defenseman in the world. He's probably, I'm not going to say Boston's best player, but he's up there.
Evan's not having you.
Evan's idea of defenseman versus my idea of defenseman are very different.
Everyone's
we've
ideas of
we've
defenseman's
talked about
different.
this. No, but like they're like Evan's like, this guy fully turned off his camera.
He's off the grid.
They're like, he said, I'm done.
I'm done. You're the one who's
I'm done.
recording
You
this.
tried to tell me Nurse was better. Get out of here. McAvoy.
If you asked a panel of 10 analysts, would you
Those
rather
are
have
analysts. Those
Victor?
are entertainers.
Would,
Those are
I think he's
Elliott-
better
those
than
aren't
McAvoy.
analysts.
McAvoy's great though.
If you,
okay, first of all,
ask
don't disrespect because Elliot Friedman is an analyst. Chris Johnson
No, he's
is
not.
an
No, they aren't. They're
Oh,
insiders.
buddy.
They're not
Insiders, yeah.
analysts.
okay.
What-
Insiders.
Well,
They're
they are
insiders.
insiders.
They're called analysts. Okay, Stephen A. Smith is an analyst too. Apparently,
No.
Skip
Maybe
Bayless,
it's just a
who calls
clown.
Russell, we calls him Russell Westbrook. A grown ass man typing Russell Westbrook is an analyst. Apparently, no, they're entertainers. They're not analysts.
No, but I don't. But like, even if you asked NHL players, would you rather have Charlie
those don't
McAvoy
matter.
or Vic?
Those don't
Those
matter.
are the guys you're going up against.
Those will tell you Drew Doughty or is still like elite.
No, they're not that generous. But I'm saying like if you asked a panel of 10, I guarantee you 8 out of 10 are taking Victor Hedman over Charlie McAvoy.
That does not matter. That does not matter.
It does a little bit.
It does. No, it doesn't. No, it does not.
Can I ask, is there some personal connection in the McAvoy, or you're just like
No, he's on the
star-
Bruins. What the fuck? No. No.
Did he go to like
I'm
one of your
supposed
schools? Or something?
McAvoy stroked him off the
No, he
bathroom
didn't.
that
No,
one
no,
time. Gave him a
no,
nice
no.
BJ.
No.
He's a
no.
great player. To say he's
Yeah,
the best
he's-
in the world
he's
is
not wrong.
questionable. But he's still a good, like he's a great player.
No.
Like I'd put Hedman, I'd put Makar above him, but he's definitely in like my top 5.
Yeah, I'm not
defensemen.
saying like you can absolutely say like I'm just fucking with you. You could absolutely say Hedman's the best. You could absolutely say McCarr's the best, but
Yeah, like, he's
McAvoy
in
is
the conversation.
200%
He's
in
a
that
great defenseman.
conversation.
Reason why he's making the money, man.
And the only
You don't
reason he
hand that money
doesn't
to
put
no
up
one
the
unless
crazy
he's Seth
points
Jones.
is because he's pretty shitty on the power play. That's why he's not putting up these ridiculous point totals. But if he was good on the power play, like he's best defenseman, and it's like unanimous too. But his point totals is what's holding him back. But when you look at his 5-on-5 numbers and what he does on the Bruins, and just watching him, the ice tilts so much in his favor when he's on the ice. Just the way he's able to use his edges, he's so good at like defending the rush. He's great in transition. Even on offense, he's really good. Defense, don't even get me started. I need to stop gushing about Charlie McAvoy. I love Charlie McAvoy, and I'd give up Mitch Marner for him. Check that off the bingo card. Mention Mitch Marner and something that had nothing to do with him.
I was agreeing you up until this point until you brought up that.
Poke
That
the
would be
bear.
that. No.
You poked the bear.
Yeah, that was. No, I'm although I 200% would, and I even go like, come on.
He's
If
mad,
I think
he's
he,
mad,
if
he's
I if
mad.
I think he's the best defenseman in the world, why wouldn't I give up Mitch Marner? I'd give up Nylander too. Don't worry. For McAvoy,
I would
as much as that hurt my heart.
Oh, I
Like
mean,
I said, Marner was overpaid, but not that he was dog shit. Like I don't think I would give up McAvoy for him. Like I would need McAvoy and like DeBrusque.
You gotta remember, McAvoy is only 23 too. Like he's signing an 8-year deal only brings him till he's what 30. This is why we're media students. Come on, till he's what 31. There you go. Till he's 31. So that's still like you locked up his prime. That's what you did. And at 9.5 for a guy like him, I think it's a steal.
no, I mean, he's
He
getting
makes
paid
more
the money
than
for a reason.
Marchand and Bergeron.
Well,
He
yeah,
does get
that's
it.
because at the time,
Yeah, at
Yeah.
the time of their contract.
at the time of their contracts, it's like you could say the same thing. Oh, McKinnon's only making 6.3.
Ken's got the best contract in the league.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I was gonna say. Like, you can't look at the best example and be like, "Oh, why aren't you getting as much as this player?" Well, that player's on an absolute.
That's the
steal.
reason
Yeah,
he's the best contract. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't
Contracts
look
are
at
two
that as your
ways.
example.
They're either they age really well or they age completely garbage.
This
It's-
one's
there's no
gonna
in between.
age like fine wine. Oh,
Yeah.
of course it's the Bruins too.
Oh, there we go. We're back. Oh, yeah.
Where
Okay,
were we?
clap it up for Mr. Evan Davis over there. Just
Again,
ended the Zoom call randomly mid conversation.
hit call.
As we were touching upon the most valuable aspect of our team, Jared Rottenberg donning the C, momentum in the Dodge Fathers court here, if you will. And I don't know. I mean, how's he going to represent the C? We'll have to wait and see.
We'll wait and
But,
find out, but I'm
Wait
excited
and
for
find
it.
out. He's
Excited for
fired
the
up. The
challenge.
kid's fired up.
Oh yeah.
Adamo's got faith in the kid. I mean,
Oh, I'm proud. I've groomed him. You know, I'm like the John.
He's a little
Tavares,
Adamo.
the silent, like the not the rowdy leader that I am. You know, like the straight business Captain Serious, and then Jared's more that like fire the boys up, get us hype, get us rolling. I love it.
Is there?
I'm Jason Spezza out there.
Stay tuned for the post-game interviews.
Is
Oh,
there
yeah.
is there a dress code? Like, did you lower that?
yeah,
in?
buddy.
Actually, that was gonna be my next
Restrictions here?
question.
Should we talk about that too?
When this wraps up, I have to consider what I have to wear for this game. You know, I've done.
Can
Are
I
you coming in
first
suit? Are you
game
going
was-
like?
Can I wear
Socks and
Wait,
sandals?
Jared, can I wear the Bel
What are
Air
you feeling?
jersey again?
Yeah. First game we went basketball jerseys. Second game we went Hawaiian shirts. We've got to follow that up well. We got to think about that.
I say you gotta go. We gotta pull up in suits one time. Like, if we make the
Bro.
I don't have a
Flip-flops.
suit up here. Is my issue.
If we
Yeah, I
make
love
the
to see it.
finals, we gotta pull up in like actual dress attire. You
I'm
know?
down.
No,
I am
we
so
gotta
down.
we gotta pull up in those fucking pants that you rip them off and like you know how they're like you could just cleanly rip them off. Like we just show up in those pants and then we have like the high-waisted shorts that like go like up to half your thighs.
Question is, are we willing to pitch in for a limo if we make the finals?
Oh yeah.
Look
Okay.
who's played good, baby.
Like a party bus.
Just play the song "I Don't Fuck With You."
If we do win the party.
Just
so,
on
yeah.
blast. We ran. Everyone's like standing out of the sunroof. Like walking like we already won the chip. If we won, we're doing a championship parade 100%.
Dundas score's gonna be
In the
rocking.
middle of
Oh yeah,
Dundas.
it'll
Yeah.
have more fans than the WNBA. Wait.
Oh, chill.
Relax.
Chill. It's still getting published. Relax. Oh, Mario's gonna have some editing.
Yeah, I got my hands full here.
Thanks a lot, Evan, for the extra work.
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Bro.
Put a coffee on.
It's like when you're
Absolute
waving to your
moron.
parents, but you can't find your parents.
Yeah, he's.
What? What did that even mean?
I don't
get it.
know. Tried making
I
it.
don't know.
It
This guy.
Backlash.
didn't hurt, didn't hit.
Okay.
We were so
Evan's
close.
just
guys.
like,
We were
he lost
so
all his
close.
honors. He's not going to be commissioner next year. He's never running
Oh.
the Zoom call again.
Explain why, Jared. Why isn't Evan our commissioner next year?
Because
Dude, the Yahoo
he
traditional
wiped out our whole team. On
Three leagues.
two separate
leagues.
leagues.
Even the
No, no, no.
basketball one.
Because
And
like
we do basketball too.
for
Yeah,
whatever
Crossing
he wiped out
sports.
every league. Like he just
No.
deleted the draft for some reason.
for whatever reason, Yahoo's traditional settings now are like you can only switch your lineup like on Mondays. And then like
yeah.
and then
I get
lost.
that it was annoying, but then we agreed. You're like, okay, the one league we're gonna restart it so you could change those settings. You took a separate league that was already fine on those settings and wiped that out too. Then you wiped out.
You're
like,
acting like I wiped out your teams and gave you like whole new
No,
players.
he gave us our players
No, but
back.
it's
But
just,
it
like,
started
annoying.
the league a week
He was
later.
kind. He was kind.
Last week didn't count. No,
Like,
It
yeah,
doesn't matter. Like last
ruined-
week
it
was like
ruined week
3
one.
days.
and I wanted to go back and see like when I drafted players. That's done for now.
Who the fuck cares? They're on your team. You drafted
Yeah,
them.
but I still want to go back and look in the
Congratulations.
draft where I reached, where I didn't.
Okay, you know what? You reached on everyone.
Ooh.
You
You
can
know
probably
how much of a
check
pain
email,
in the
just
ass it
send
would have been to have to reorder the entire draft?
I agree with you, but first of all, you wiped out the wrong league. Like double check if you're wiping out a league.
It was very stressful.
Oh my god.
Bro.
That's opening up the pod.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It was very stressful. Okay.
Would we get like we get an actual intro with like voice
You.
clips of us?
Highlights.
No, I mean like,
like
you know
Steve
what I mean?
Dangle style.
Like, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like Steve Dangle type of like, this team is ruining my life.
Yeah.
I'm going through the editing tonight. I'll catch
Oh,
them.
yeah.
I'll catch them. All
Make sure
right.
you make us look pretty.
Wrap us up, Mario.
I'll make everyone look pretty but you, Evan. You,
Okay.
you hit record 4 times.
Evan like needs to
Succession.
fake some criminal on him.
Oh, I have a piece. Me and Evan were doing it. Was on one of our anchor streams. This guy was singing the lineup with the Dodgers.
Oh,
Tempted to
yeah,
throw it in
yeah.
the intro. It was awesome. Loved it. No, that's definitely getting.
Oh
mixed in
fuck!
there.
It's 3-0 Atlanta. Shit.
Scott,
All right, we're
we're
going
never
schoolwork
getting
time.
monetized.
Yeah.
Schoolwork time.
Oh, Mister.
The
Don't even
the-
get me started on that one.
Okay, you need to learn to let it go.
This isn't even
All right, we
hockey
have
pod
we
anymore.
actually have to go. This is like the
Yeah,
game is
you
like.
All
should
sports.
probably-
You guys gotta get. You guys
Yeah,
gotta
you
get
guys
busted.
gotta go.
We
Yeah,
gotta
Let me
it's
wrap it up
Dodgeball
for
this
y'all.
season 9:30.
Yeah. Everyone
All right.
reach.
Now
Yeah.
can
Anyways,
Hack the barn.
not yet.
No, let him
I
wrap it up.
accidentally clicked stop.
No, you didn't.
No.
No, I'm
No,
kidding.
you would have heard it.
Let-
Let Mario wrap us up, kid.
Thank you. They have faith in me. I've never gotten
Everyone's
this much
mute.
confidence.
We're muting.
go.
Mute.
All right. That
That's not the
concludes.
right color.
Oh.
Sorry.
That concludes week 5, episode 5, season 2 of the Leafs Line podcast. I would like to thank all these members, excluding Evan. No, I'm kidding, Evan. You are welcome. I'd like to thank you guys all for hopping on the cast. It was a fun one, to say the least. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great time to finally talk hockey, regular season hockey, getting back into the swing of things. And it's going to be like this, hopefully, for the rest of the season. Some good content and some good things to talk about, including the Dodge Fathers on their route to, let's hope, a championship here. We got Jared leading the pack for the time being. Adamo's he's going to return soon. We'll see what goes on there, and I anticipate some nice news coming my way. But again, that wraps up season 2, episode 5 of the Leafs Line podcast. Drop a like on the video if you would like. Please subscribe to the channel. We could use all the support. I got to get used to saying all this stuff because totally brand new for me. I feel like a kid. YouTuber. Let's go. Anyways, hit that like button, turn that bell on for the notifications. I know I'm botching this. Yeah, just do whatever you got to do. Help us out a little bit, and we'll help you with some great NHL content. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and have a great evening. Evan, do what you do best, man.